Well, hello, everybody out there in podcast land. Thank you so much for joining me for another fabulous episode of the Get Happy podcast. Let's do this, people. And the crowd goes wild. So I have the most beautiful man in the box next to me. If you guys want to go over to the YouTube channel, you have to. Mr. Wes Pullen, who is also part of this Access Consciousness movement and my special guest today. So Wes, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
And I am delighted. And now you don't know, see, we're so psychic. We even actually coordinated this black t-shirt look. He's got the longer version. And
we did. Oh my goodness. I didn't even notice.
77 degrees here in Nashville, Tennessee, y'all, and it's going to drop down to 29. So we got tornado warnings. This is the first time we've worn a t-shirt in literally months, literally. So I'm delighted about that. But this is not about me. This is about Wes.
It is.
So, it is. I want the people to know how fabulous you are and all the things. So would you tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do, all the things, maybe what you do with Access, and yeah.
Yeah, of course. So my name, obviously by now you've gathered, is Wesley. I'm an Access certified facilitator. I'm a joy business facilitator. I work with the company of Access Consciousness. I work with Simone Melissus, Brendan White, some of the core facilitators of Access Consciousness. And basically, I think one of my main targets, and I didn't know this for a little while, is to really just fucking get the word of Access out there into the world, right?
Yeah, people are looking
so
for
that's in a little nutshell.
And there's so much more. And he goes, some of the top people of Access. Yeah, so, you got your founder, Gary Douglas. You got your co-founder, Dr. Dane here. And then the other two names he just rattled off so quickly, Simone and Brendan, are actually two of the other facilitators. These four can teach choice of possibilities, which we just had a fabulous choice of possibilities. And I love saying it, Puerto Vallarta. I just love saying Puerto Vallarta. Just the way it rolls out is so beautiful.
Anything in a Spanish accent sounds so exaggerated. Dramatic.
I thought you were going to say exotic, but you were so right. The energy of the way I just said it was very So I love it. And I love those facilitators so much. I've been fortunate enough to actually be on their teams in early COVID. Now we're kind of in late COVID. We're in 2022, March of 2022, just the end of it. But this will probably be airing next month. So, okay, so how did you find Access? I always like to hear a good Access Consciousness story.
So I actually found Access probably about 5 years ago. I had been trying and doing all sorts of like metaphysical things. I had gone to Reiki classes and energetic things and channeling courses and crystal stuff and whatever. And none of it was quite giving me that sense of me, that like sense of happiness that I was searching for, that sense of belonging, that sense of like, I've come home. And then one day, a friend of mine that I used to do a lot of these courses with had told me that she had just gone to a class called Access Bars. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Like at that point, I was like, if I have to go to another class to try and get happy, I'm going to fucking kill myself. And so, and so she told me about it. And actually, it took a while for her to actually run my bars, which is this body process we do called Access Bars. And I think it was about 2 months in, and eventually I had seen her run like two people's bars, my partner at the time and someone else's. And then I said to her, hey, I really want to try out this thing that you're offering. And so we did. And I lay there on the table and she started running my bars. And she got to the point with like one of the bars we have is called the implant band. And she got there and it was just like all this weight had suddenly just went off my shoulders and everything just changed. It was like, okay, woof, woof, wow. And I don't even have like a lot of words for it, but it was literally like someone had taken this heavy backpack off my shoulders and thrown it away.
Wow. Yeah,
and from that point on, I was like, oh my God, more.
And did you notice a little sense of happy when he was talking about this, folks? It's like, Gary Douglas says it's like the best massage you've ever had with your clothes on. And I remember the
Yes.
first time I had my bars run, I literally passed out. I woke up and an hour and a half had gone by, and I'm like, what did you do to me? You knocked me out, lady. And then I was getting my bars run every other week after that. I was a late bloomer. It took me a while before I actually learned bars myself and did all the things. So for those of you that may be listening for the first time, Access bars, it's like the first modality of Access. Gary Douglas channeled the information, and it's the 32 points on the head that when you touch them in specific groupings, it's like a delete button. It gets rid of all the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are stuck in your cellular memory and are kind of keeping you from being happy. That's why of putting it. So yeah, I love it. So then what happened after that?
So shortly after that, I went to a bars class, and then I went to another one, and I went to another one, and I became a facilitator. And I'd started doing bars classes all over the place. I was actually a hairstylist at the point. Not a lot of people know I'm actually a hairstylist by trade, but I was working in a salon, and I really hated my life. I wasn't making a lot of money at all. I was literally paying off credit cards with other credit cards. And so I became a facilitator. And that's what I started doing on like the weekends, was facilitating bars classes. And then I heard that you could become a certified facilitator with Access Consciousness. And that was the next thing I did. And I did all of this in a really short period of time, probably about 8 months or so.
Oh my heavens.
And since then, it was just like a rocket ship going at full speed into consciousness. And my whole life changed. Yeah.
I'll say. So how long was it before you left the hairstyling?
It was about a year. A year after I had got my bars run, I had left the salon. Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's funny because I left a film production business back in, I'm trying to think now, 2003, because everyone was starting to make music videos and all of this on their phones. Or this, I was doing these $1 million projects, and all of a sudden it's dwindling down because there's less expensive ways and creative ways to do things, which it's kind of the way of a lot of things. So I was kind of tiptoeing into other modalities, and I learned several through the National Institute of Health in Boulder. So I was actually a facilitator of different processes even before I was introduced to Access. But once I was introduced to the bars and I saw how much quicker things could change, for example, here I was doing this tapping modality, and I would have to work with, and not to slight it, it does work. But I noticed that what I could do with one bar session would take me 10 to 20 tapping sessions.
But that's it. That's it's not to discount anything else. It's just like, oh my God, this bars thing just works so quickly. It's like, damn, what if you can just change? Yeah. What if you can just change right now? Boom. Like that's like one of the core principles of Access is change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so here it was, I had left the film production business because of the changes. And then again, now I'm leading all these. I went to a lot of school, paid a lot of money to do all these holistic modalities. And then all of a sudden I discovered bars, and I was like, fuck it. I am going all the way. And I every body process. For me, it was, I took the 3-day body class, and I had to take it again so I could take the advanced one from Gary. So I actually hosted the second one in my town just to get it in as quickly as possible to make it in time for the advance that I knew was coming. And then my whole world just exploded. I was kind of struggling a little bit. I had been really injured in a shooting accident, in a terrorist attack. Some of you know the story, and couldn't work for a couple of years. So I was cashing in my IRAs and all the stuff just to survive. And I had this other modality, but I couldn't really get things going. So I was in a place where I did the same thing. I was paying off credit cards with other credit cards. Oh, look, there's a no interest card. I just have to pay this percentage, and then I can pay this off, and I'll divide the payment.
Which I will say is quite the magician skill when you need it.
Tell me.
When you have no money and you got to get creative.
Yeah, you do. And I did all kinds of things, to make a little extra cash here and there and do what I do. And so it took me about a year also before I was flush with my business, and now, I mean, I'm thriving. I'm beyond thriving. Now, I'm a little bit of a late bloomer because I didn't become a CF right away. I became a CF in 2017, I think, which I guess is when you did.
I became a CF in 2018. Yeah.
Oh, in 18, so close.
Yeah.
But here
Close.
I discovered Access in 2003. I didn't leap in until 2011. I'm a late bloomer. I know. You get it when you get it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is what it is. So how did you end up working for Brendan and Simone? I'd love to know that story.
Well, it's just been over the years and going to classes and meeting people and saying, I do this thing, you do that thing. And it's really just a coincidence of meeting people and
sure it is.
sharing your skills, right?
I'm sure you
I
didn't
say coincidence because
it
it just occurs so naturally, right? You meet people, you connect, people connect you with other people. And yeah, that's how it occurs.
Well, you know, this is what I'm hearing. So I'm going to decipher this a little bit for y'all listening out there in podcast land. Wes just follows the energy.
Pretty much.
He doesn't think about it. You know, this mental masturbation we go through. Well, let me weigh the pros and the cons, and then I'll know exactly what I need to be doing. And if I have more cons, then I'm not going to go that way. But if I have more pros, then I'm going to go this way. And for me, I just go, okay, if I'm going to choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And now I don't even have to do that. My body just goes, you know, heart swell.
Yeah, you just know.
Gotta go there, you know, kind of thing. So that's what I'm thinking. He knew he wasn't doing the mental masturbation. He actually wasn't thinking at all. Because we have this thing in Access where we say, if you're thinking, you're stinking, you know? So it's the space of being the space. I love it. So what is it you do for them?
So we do. How do I put it in a nutshell? Like, what do we do?
What do I not do for them, Rudrani?
We all basically, what we actually call ourselves all a conglomeration of idiots.
Yeah.
And why we do that, ACOI for short, because it's a conglomeration of idiots all heading in the same direction. We're all heading in the same direction, which is consciousness, right? So work with a fabulous group of people amongst all the different teams. And I say, well, what I more contribute is like more back-end magic, website stuff, systems, coordination stuff. Like that's where my special sauce lies. And of course, there's amazing other brilliant people that all stir the cauldron, you know, keep it going.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just so you know, Wes actually reached out to me. Where'd you reach out to me? Is it on Messenger? I don't know. We're on so many things.
Messenger.
Darling, are you going to the castle for a Right Voice for You? Which, you know, immediately I'm a Right Voice for You certified facilitator. I became that right before lockdown, which was very interesting because I had to take special classes from Gary and Dane to facilitate it online. But I've noticed, I mean, I'm kind of addicted to not to make it significant, but I love watching people step into who they truly be, which is what
that's like just
is about.
The best thing you can ever see is seeing someone's life change and seeing,
unabashedly, with no excuses, them stepping into all of who they be. It's kind of like a being you class on steroids. You know what I'm saying? It's because I don't say it forces you. It allows you to actually step into who you are without worrying about what other people think, being willing to lose people. And what is so beautiful about that is that vulnerability piece. When people see that you're willing to be all of you and they're like, oh gosh, maybe I can actually choose that for myself, you know? It's like with Ticketed Talk. I've been recently on the Ticketed Talk, y'all. Go check it out. And it was one of those things. I was in my hot tub one morning and, you know, like, how can I create my life? You know, like one does when they get in their hot tub in the morning. And I'm like, you know, I need to be singing on TikTok. And the funny part is I haven't sung on TikTok yet. Because you got 15 seconds. It's kind of like that 10-second rule in Access where, you know, you've got 10 seconds to live your life. What are you going to choose? So I just get on there and I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. And within 2 weeks time, I was trending. So it's been too much fun. And it's the fault of this little yellow book, Choosing Happiness, which I'm getting ready to do a book club for. And it's the reason why we have this Get Happy podcast. And I basically just ripped off Gary and Dane with their 10 keys to total freedom. Those tools and others are in there, but the book was created to actually speak to your friends, you know, for the people that are in Access that have friends that think they've joined a cult. It's kind of like an introductory manual. hey, it's not really, well, this is what it's really about. And if you want to choose it, you can too. And if you don't, that's okay also. And I'm an allowance and all the stuff. So anyway, we have to take a quick break because, this podcast does not pay for itself. The sponsors do. So you guys hold tight. We've got a lot more we want to discuss with Mr. Wesley Pullen, and we'll be back momentarily.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Feeling a little funky? Devi Essentials Pure Oil Blends can maximize your inner balance. These 100% pure oil blends are designed to vibrationally open up the channels within the physical and multi-dimensional bodies. Your body. So if you're trying to find your groove, let these pure essential oil blends work for you. For more information, go to rudranidevi.com. That's RUDRANIDEVI.com.
What creations are asking to be in this world? What would they like to look like? What contributions are your creations? Here at Designing Essentials, we ask these questions plus many more on how your creations can contribute not only to your life and living, but also to the world. Design in Essentials. Be you. Design your life. For more information and discover possibilities with your creations, visit www.designinaessentials.com.
Hey, and we're back, folks, with my special guest, Mr. Wes Pullen, the sexy, hot. Look at this guy. I don't even know where you're from. What's your background?
I'm from South Africa. I'm born and raised in South Africa. Yeah.
That's where that beautiful voice comes from. And where do you reside now?
I'm in Cape Town, South Africa now. So I live on the coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're able to get in and out of there, obviously, since I just saw you in Mexico.
Yes. Pretty easy.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Exactly.
I'm so thrilled that I'll be going to Italy soon.
Yes.
Because they weren't allowing any of us in for a while.
No.
Things have changed. The world is changing, folks. Kids, have you noticed? And we're delighted. Okay, so I got to ask you, Wes, what is one of your, well, actually, I want to hear this story first, and then I'll go back to that one. What's the first tool that you actually utilized in Access? What actually spoke to you and pulled you in?
It was the tool of who does this belong to? And it was actually one of the first I read about because, I got my bars run and then I was suddenly curious, what's this Access stuff? What are all these tools and what do all they do? And, because when you come along to Access, it is there's a lot of tools to start off with, right? It's kind of just
overwhelming.
There's a lot of tools to get you started. And I think the first one that I found that really drew my attention was who does this belong to? And in a quick explanation, what if 99.99999% of everything in your head and everything going on in your world doesn't even belong to you?
Yeah.
And the tool is to ask, who does this belong to for every thought, feeling, and emotion that comes up in your world? And ask, who does this belong to? Is this mine or someone else's? Mm-hmm. And majority of the time, it's someone else's. And that tool, really put 999, if not 100%,
not yours,
because you're way more aware than you give yourself credit for.
True story.
And that tool just set me so free. Having that tool when I was working in the salon, I really didn't like my job. I didn't like the people I was working with. I thought I hated myself. So many of these things going on in my world, and to have that tool, and it was the first one that I really focused on. I was like, who does it belong to? Fucking everything. And it just set me free.
I love it. And it can also be, y'all, who does this belong to? Or, me, someone else, or something else, which is the one that would pop for me a lot. I would get a pain in my body. Yeah. And I'd be like, okay, is this mine? Who does it belong to? Is it mine? No. Is it someone else's? No. If it was someone else's, it was usually me trying to heal somebody else. But most of the time, it would be Mother Earth requiring facilitation. because I'm this Earth's bitch, y'all. I love Mother Earth. And, I commune with her every morning from the hot tub, as one does, as I said before. I'm like, what energy, space, and consciousness, magic, miracles, mysteries, possibilities, potency can me and my body be, so that you, Mother Earth, get to create you the way you would like to be created. And anything doesn't allow it, I'm going to pot and pocket. So that's what I do every morning. But what I was noticing, I would get a pain. And the minute that I went to facilitate Mother Earth, the pain would go away.
Yeah.
I would just throw a bunch of threes, talking about, these algorithms that we use in Access. If you're interested, there's a foundation class that'll fill you in on that. Bars is your prerequisite. Anyway, so it's this thing that was so amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, I used to think I had all these ailments, back pain, hip flexor pain. I'm a runner, so I would always justify it as, oh, my bones are getting tired or old or whatever it is, and that's what all the aches and pains are. And it was the Mother Earth requiring facilitation and my laughter and my joy and all those things. So that's a big one. Who does it belong to? That one came along for me a little bit later, because I love to mentally masturbate and be like, oh, why am I thinking this? Why do I suck so bad? Why does everybody think I'm a weirdo? Why? And as you can see, those aren't real questions, y'all. That why is not really a question. Who does this belong to is an excellent question if you want to work your way out of it. So you were mentioning the salon. So what did you notice? Because here you thought you hated yourself and all of that. When you started to use that tool, what actually showed up in your world?
So it's like, well, I can say it because it would be like thousands of times that I would use this tool, but it would come up with everything. Like, to have an example for you, and this is something everyone can relate to, is walking through the mall or a shopping center or anywhere in the public in general, and suddenly feeling different, like feeling sad, feeling hungry, feeling angry, feeling upset, feeling whatever. And it's just sudden and you have no reason for it. Right. And then you suddenly get that feeling and you decide that you need immediately, it's not even a decision, it's just you need to make sense of it. Right. And you're like, oh, I'm upset because blah, blah, blah is going on in my life. Or I'm angry because so-and-so called me a bitch yesterday. Or I'm angry or whatever, or my hips are sore because I run, like you spoke about earlier. We immediately got to make sense of it, because if we make sense of it, then we can fix it. But what if everything because you want to fix it, right? But what if there's nothing to fix? Because you're not a problem, you're a possibility. All you can ask then in that moment is, who does this belong to? Mine, someone else's, something else's. Yeah. So if I could put that in a nutshell, like how it changed for me in the day-to-day salon, I would be working on a client and I would cut their hair, I would blow dry them, send them off, they would pay and whatever. And, I'd feel all depressed. And I would go on the whole fucking day feeling depressed and pointing at all the reasons in my life why I'm depressed, because that's the making sense of it. Because if we can make sense of it, then I can fix it, which never really fixes it anyway. But that's what would occur. And then come along, fast forward into the tools of Access. Who does this belong to? See a client, feel depressed, ask a question. Who does this belong to? Oh, it's not mine, someone else's. And you don't even have to know whose it is. You just have to know that it's not yours. And that immediately changes it. Because as soon as you know it's not yours, you're acknowledging it. And when you acknowledge something, it can change. Yeah. So those are the finer things for me. And even something like suddenly being worried about money. Do you ever get that in your world? Suddenly being worried about money. And then you try to make sense of it. Oh, it's because there's this much money in my bank account. Or, oh, it's because I owe this much on my credit card. Oh, it's because this. Oh, it's because that. Was it yours?
Right. Because nobody in the world ever worries about money, do they?
Nobody ever.
That was one of the biggest hurdles for me, actually. It was that, and I'll tell you how I got over that hurdle, y'all. This is how it went. You want to hear the story? Here it goes. So I remember early in Access, my very first foundation class, which was actually a foundation level 1. It was 2 days of each, and you used to be able to take the 2 and then choose to take the other 2. So I take this foundation class, and they very briefly talked about the money stuff, but they gave us some tools and recommendations, clearing statements. And I remember they were saying, take 10% of everything you make and sock it away as a tithing to you. And when I was in film production, I used to take 30% of everything I made and put it in an interest-bearing checking account so that when my taxes would come up, I had the money for it. So that was my thinking, but to never touch it didn't make any sense to me. Later, I understood that acquiring that much just for the sake of acquiring it as a tithing or an honoring to me was the first step of actually being able to have money.
Yeah, that have piece, like emphasis on have.
Yes.
Because nobody ever teaches us how to have money.
Yeah.
When you grow up, people like your parents, bless them, they did the best with the tools they had.
Oh,
like,
you're so cute. Bless your parents. I love it.
Teach you how to spend and how to save. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever teaches you just to have money without a plan, without a reason for it, just having it.
And that was huge. So I went ahead and did the 10%. And when it hit a certain number, all of a sudden my whole world changed. All of a sudden money wasn't a factor in any choice that I made. And it felt so good that I was like, okay, how can I exponentialize this even more? And I'm in my hot tub again, asking these questions. And I heard my business going, hey, the Devi Clinic would like a 10% account. And I went, really? Okay. So I created a 10% account, not just because I have one called Ruse 10% account. No joke. That's I don't know what my banking person thinks of me because I have these weird accounts with weird names. And so now I have the Devi Clinic Inc. So DCI 10% account. And I started contributing to that. And it made my life so, because now my business had an honoring as well. And so I didn't worry about choosing classes. Now I've never had to dip into it, but just being able to have that energy there of having, I know it's there. If we require it, great. If we don't, great. But all of a sudden it takes that completely out of the equation. And, and I realized actually we were at Global Foundation together, Wes and I, gosh, has it even been a week yet? I think a week ago today. Time and space, right?
I don't know.
Something like that. And now I'm losing my mind a little bit. I remember that Gary and Dane were talking about hoarders. Yeah. And I was like, wow, it triggered something in me because I have several family members that are just that. They have rubber band collections, they have paper clip collection. I mean, when I say they don't throw anything away. They don't throw anything away. They will use a Ziploc bag 18 times. They'll rinse it out instead of using a new one. I mean, something smell. I can understand it like nothing happens to the, whatever. Because a lot of times when I'm flying, I put my essentials in a Ziploc so they can see what it is, when you go to check in or whatever. But I could never understand why they were so willing to hoard things that they thought that might have some significance or importance later that they never touch, but they weren't willing. So they'll have all of that to the point where you can't even walk around your house, but they won't have money. They won't have money. So I remember going up and asking Gary and Dane about it. I said, what is that? And Gary said to me, why do you want them so much to get that they could just have money? And I'm like, it was this weird realization that I wasn't an allowance of my family choosing to not be willing to have money. And that was another big piece of access for me, is this allowance piece. Because guess what, everybody? No matter what anybody's predicament is in this reality, in this world, they're choosing it for whatever reason. And we don't know why they're choosing it. We don't know why, the guy's homeless. Maybe he had so many lifetimes where he was rich as fuck. And he said, people only like me for my money. I never want to be in that situation. We don't know. We can't really judge it. Well, judgment is anyway, you don't know a person's story. And so that allowance piece is, okay, I'm an allowance whatever they choose. They want to choose to be cranky pants, or they want to choose to be homeless. They want to choose to be a billionaire. If they want to choose a convertible Bentley, which is on my wish list for 2022. So if any of y'all out there are sick of your convertible Bentleys, Win. Because you know what? Pinky and I need a new ride. I'm just putting out as a public service announcement for Rudrani and Pinky over here. The convertible Bentley, we'd be happy to take it off your hands. But, okay. So it's so light in my world to put out an ask like that. Now, I don't know how it'll show up, but I'm willing to have it. Just like I'm willing to have green bills, and I'm willing to have, maybe a place in Costa Rica. I'm kind of entertaining that idea now. It's just lots of possibilities.
Yeah.
That one. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, okay. So
Sure.
what is a tool that really, I know that, who does this belong to? What's a tool that you remember it really kicking in and changing your life, and you just acknowledged the second that it showed up? Because I have one. I have a story. What's your
You
story,
mean-
Glory?
Like a tool. Wait, ask me again. I don't quite get it.
He's already brain dead, because here's the thing. Wes does not think. He doesn't use this, y'all. And if you're not watching on YouTube by now, which you should have skipped over here already, I'm pointing to the brain. So, okay, I'll tell you my story and then you can be regurgitating. Okay, so the first tool that I got and utilized and noticed a change right away that like rocked my world beyond the beyonds was the first day of foundation, when I don't even remember how it came up, but it was in the foundation book. I don't even know if it's there anymore, about being a superior asshole.
Mhm.
And I suddenly realized, oh my goddess, I have been such a superior asshole. Here I'd been trying to do everything right, which is such a righteous thing. Like, I was a meditation teacher, I was vegan, contemplating my navel, all those things I was trying to do to be this perfect enlightened being. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things that I just said. This is where I'm getting to, though. I would impale this point of view on everybody as if everybody should be the same way.
Yeah.
Because for me, Heaven's Gate, the angels were singing, it's like, oh, hold on. What did I do with it? So the clouds open, parted, all the stuff. And I'm like, you have to try this. Meditate for 4 hours a day. And you've got to have the hand mudras and all that. And I was like, oh my Lord, what a fucking asshole I have been. Wow. Being this, impaling my points of view on all these people when we're not a one size fits all world. So like you did with who does this belong to? I immediately went into that space of, I'm not going to impale my points of view on people anymore. And are they really my points of view, or are they someone else's? Who does this belong to? I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm impaling my guru's points of view. I followed a guru, y'all, for 23 years. Okay. And it was like shortly after that, I started not just eating meat, but like very rare steak. And my body was so happy because I started including my body in my decisions and asking my body, what is it you would like to have, body? What would you like to have today? And I discovered, I wasn't a big ice cream fan, which was weird because I had thought, I love ice cream. I know this is very random shit that I'm going through with you guys, but we just assume my ex-husband loved ice cream. And so we always had to have it in the house. And he would finish his tub and then I would go to mine and I would have only eaten out of it once and it'd be down to the bottom. I went, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I'd get mad because he'd eat my ice cream. Well, obviously I don't really care for it that much because I'm not.
Yeah.
So it's like all these places where I've been designed to believe that I have to be a good daughter, or you have to have a certain hand mudra when you're meditating, or, I've got to be vegan or whatever it is, even the eat right for your type. My poor body, the things that I impaled upon my body as a superior asshole. So now my body's the boss of me. I'm like, I'm my body's bitch. I'm the earth's bitch. And I'm happier than I've ever been because I'm just following the energy. I don't have to make it significant. I don't have to make it right or wrong. And it can change in every 10 seconds. It's like maybe tomorrow I'll decide to be vegan. And then the next 10 seconds or whatever, I'll decide something else. Takes all the pressure off. And that's when you don't use your brain anymore. You just follow the energy. So now that I've told this little story, Morning Glory, Wes, you have one of those things that was like,
Yeah, for me,
That.
Yeah, for me, it's asking a question. It's when I came along to Access, and like one of the like first things, even in like a bars class, is it's teaching you how to ask a question and being the question. And because our whole lives we've gone through like walking through everything thinking we have to have the answer for everything, and it to come along and just ask a question and allowing the universe to gift you whatever it has in store was life-changing. So like even just asking when a shitty thing happens, when a good thing happens, when a great thing happens, when a bad thing happens, ask a question, how does it get better than this? Like the universe can't wait to show you.
Yeah.
Like that was one of my favorite tools when I came along. And it still is, asking a question. Whenever I'm going to that place of like conclusion or I'm stuck, I always ask a question to like shake the shit up. Like what else is possible here? How does it get better than this? What's actually going on that I'm not acknowledging? Like any question like that will always get you out of the crap.
And notice when Wesley's asking these questions, y'all, it's not about seeking the answer. It's about throwing it into the hands, if the universe had hands. It's like, hey, y'all, this is my ask. What else is actually possible here? And the universe goes, well, there's this, there's, and before you know it, all these possibilities show up for you. And then I love that heavy light tool. Hey, if I choose this, do I get a heart swell, or do I feel like somebody just put a 100-pound weight on my head? So yeah, because that's how it is. I remember asking Dana in a he has these memberships, and this must have been, I think it was a couple of years ago, and he was talking about how we go into these knee-jerk things. And I raised my hand, and my question was, so what is knee-jerk when you're just constantly following the energy? I mean, I find that I just, no matter what, I'm talking to everything, like, if I eat this, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And he says, well, yeah, Rudrani, that's a real problem. That's called following your awareness. Oh, okay, so I got it right. It's this weird thing, because I'm so ADHD, ADD that I'm literally, I mean, even in this conversation, we're going all over the place, and somehow the chaos of it seems to be working.
Yeah.
I'm digging the conversation, I likes it a lot.
Me too.
So I do want, I mean, I think I could talk to you all day. You're just fabulous. Can't wait to hug you in Italy.
Me too. That's exciting.
Woo!
Yeah.
Hugging juicy goddess again. Hello. You said that you're a business, what is it? Joy of Business facilitator?
Yes. Yeah.
How long have you been doing that? And can you tell the folks listening a little bit about that class, or what
So,
that's about?
Joy of Business was actually founded by Simone Melissus quite some time ago. I can't tell you how long because I don't remember.
2011.
2011. 2011. See,
Yes.
Rudrani knows it.
I do, because I bought both books, and Gary told her she had to create the class. And so I don't know, 2011 were the books, so probably 2012, but it was shortly afterwards. Anyway, continue, s'il vous plaît.
So it was founded by Simone Melissus, whose point of view is like different from anybody else's, is that business is joyful and business is fun. So she wrote this book called The Joy of Business. And she, in that book, outlines all the tools, processes, and ways that business can actually be fun and easy, and something that brings joy to the world and creates more consciousness on the planet. So out of that book birthed a whole new body of work within Access Consciousness called Joy of Business Facilitators, which we now have. And I think it's about 85 Joy of Business facilitators around the planet who all facilitate these classes called, we have various different ones. We have like the Business Done Different class, which is like a 3-day masterclass, real deep dive into like just a completely new way of being and doing business. And we have
I've taken that class. And
it's
it
epic.
changed. It was a game changer for my business, that's for sure. Anyway, didn't mean to interrupt. Quiet.
And we have the Access Business and Money, which is like a 1-day class. And then we also have the other specialty that falls underneath that, which is called Getting Out of Debt Joyfully, which was also founded by Simone Melissus. So it's a whole amazing specialty that has changed my world so much. Like with business, like it was when was it? About maybe 3.5 years ago, I remember getting a phone call from Simone, and she asked me if I wanted to come work on the Joy of Business team. And I like immediately, obviously I'd said yes out loud, but on my inside voice, I was like, are you fucking crazy, lady? I don't have a degree. I don't know anything about business. And off I went along, and Simone's point of view is, what do you know?
Right.
What do you know?
I love that.
And I've been so empowered to know all that I know and what else is possible with business, right? Yeah.
So do you have a class coming up anytime soon? Are you planning on?
I have a class. I think when this airs, the class will be over.
Oh.
But I do have something in the works coming up, probably towards the beginning of May, called 10 Things to Make the Money Come and Come and Come and Come and Come. So that is one of my newest creations coming up. And
so we'll make sure the link is there if you guys are interested in taking that class.
Sure.
Because, I love doing anything that has anything to do with the money, because money loves me and I love money. It's just an energy that I love, it's makes my heart swell, all the things.
Yeah. So,
okay, that's fabulous. And so where could people find you if they were looking for you?
So you can head on over to my website, which is www.wesleypullen.com. Or you can find me on just about all the bloody social medias. And you can also find me on the Access Consciousness site, which is accessconsciousness.com/Wesley Pullen.
What about Tickety Talk?
I'm on TikTok, but I don't have any content on TikTok. I mean, you can go find me there. If you message me, I probably will reply.
Well, you should be following me, Wesley. I'm just saying. I
might find you on TikTok.
I might even pull an excerpt from them and put it in so that you'll have some content, so that, at least one little thing that you'll have, because we don't want to make it significant at all. Well, this has been a delightful conversation.
So much fun.
Really and truly, I adore you. I mean, I love getting to know you, because this is the most fun for me doing these podcasts. I know these people because I've seen them in boxes, and occasionally I get lucky enough to see them in person, y'all. But getting to know a little bit about the backstory is always so much fun for me.
Cool. Yeah.
So much fun. So if
Thank you so much.
Well, you're so welcome, and I'm not letting you off the hook just yet. If there was one thing that you were going to leave our listeners with, no pressure at all.
I would just say, wow, like this is straight from the Access Consciousness Foundation manual. If you took anything away from this and you never go to an Access class ever in your life, what if you are not as fucked up as you think you are? Yeah. And that's straight from the Access Consciousness Foundation manual. Like I said, if you don't go to any classes, but you take that one thing, take it away. Yeah.
It's so funny, Wes, because I just had a podcast that came out today, and that's the very first line I say, because it's just me. I'm talking about the book club that I'm getting ready to do for Choosing Happiness. And it's normally a $450 book club, but I'm by the time this is going on, it'll already started, so you will have missed it. But I wanted to make it available to everyone around the world, so I slashed the price from $450 to $10.
Wow.
5 calls. Well, it started out because of the book is now in Russian translation, and no Russians showed up for Global Foundation for reasons we all know. But the year before, there were a shit fuck ton of Russians there giving me shit for the book not speaking Russian. So my target was to have it available by then, and it was still light to do that, but then there was no Russians. So that's how it started. And then my team and I were talking, and it was like, hey, what if we just made it available to anyone and everyone that wanted to come play? What would that look like? So, yeah.
Love it. I love it. That's so cool.
Cool. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so grateful to be here and have this really cool conversation with you.
Me too. I look forward to seeing you in May.
Really, really soon. You're gonna blink and it's right there.
I know, dude. Tickets are done. The castle reservations. Y'all, I'm staying in the castle.
That's so exciting. Me too. Yeah.
All right, my love. Will you take care?
Cool.
And all of y'all. So if you liked this conversation, why not subscribe? If you think this conversation is something that could be a contribution to others, please share. And if there's a topic you want to talk about, let me know. I read all the comments. Okay. Okay. So until next time, ciao, ciao, y'all.
Bye.